All the horse parachutes are failing. Well, I got to tell Derek we're canceling the weekend. They're recalling all the horse parachutes. Oh, hi kid, how you doing? You're home early. What's wrong? You look a little bit distressed. They're ruining your favorite high fantasy series? Well, what's wrong with Lord of the Rings? I thought you liked Rings of Power. Oh, you hated everything about it. What about that new Lord of the Rings game that's coming out? You like that, don't you? The, what's it called? Tales of the Shire? What's wrong with it? Huh. Well, that's too bad. I thought it was going to be real good. You know, I really like the Tales of Destiny games, and I thought they were doing a crossover, but I guess that's not what it is. Oh, look, don't be upset about it. I mean, sure, okay, you don't get to read stories about your favorite elven archers anymore, but, well, that's a real shame your favorite fantasy story is ruined. I guess if you don't get to play your favorite elven archers anymore, it's probably time for you to learn real archery. Yeah, I know, I could tell things were pretty rough earlier this week, so I got you that bow that you've been asking for, and I hope it's the right one. I hope you like it. It just got delivered, and I guess we can unbox it and take a look at it now. So, I know you had that mishap with the scissors earlier, so I took the liberty of just cutting that for you to make it a little easier. So let's go ahead and set this up, and I can teach you a little bit about how to set up and shoot your bow. So I guess if you can't do fantasy archery, you'll have to settle for real archery instead. Now it comes with this really nice bow stringer, which helps you string your bow, and we can talk about that a little later. But we'll look at the important parts here, which we'll set this aside and I'll explain that. The important parts will be the limbs here. Let's go ahead and take these out of the plastic, and I'll just quickly show you how to put them on. Now, the top and the bottom limbs are actually different. The bottom limb is actually longer than the top limb, slightly, so you'll have to keep track of that and make sure you match up the shapes accordingly. You'll see it on the bow. It's pretty easy to get right. Let's go ahead and have a look. We have the bolts, which we use to attach, and the bowstring. Then we have the riser. This is the body of the bow. Check this out. That's a pretty cool blue one, isn't it? Now this is Top Archery. It's a pretty good entry-level brand, so it's good for starting out with and just learning your skills. So we'll open this little box here, take out these little bolts, and we'll just quickly attach the limbs. So you'll see we have these here in Allen key. And let's have a quick look at the bow. You'll see that the shape is a little bit different, so the bottom one shouldn't end up in the wrong spot. Let's go ahead and put the bottom limb in place first. Now you can hand knurl this first just to make sure you get that in there nice and easy. You don't have to worry about the Allen key until you get to the very end where it tightens up a little bit. So go ahead and hand knurl that. Now, you'll want to tighten that up with the Allen key, and you don't want to destroy it. You don't want to put it too tight. Just make it tight enough so it's not wobbling around in there. Now, I got you this nice dark blue bow. I know you kids these days like to monotype on your elements. This one is actually a 50-50 split between water and ice, and I thought it would be better for you to learn on a dual typing bow. So the color of the bow does actually affect the element of the arrows that you're shooting, and I thought it would be good for you to try at least and see if you prefer the water or ice. So I hope that's all right, that it's not a monotype bow for you here. Now we'll go ahead and get this set up. There are a couple parts that are missing from the bow, but we can sort that out a little bit later. So we'll take our string here, and we do have to put some twists in it. You do also need bow wax, so it looks a little funny like that, but we'll put a couple twists in it, and that will tighten it up a little bit. So we just want to make sure that we get them put on the right side up. Now you'll want to see which loop is bigger, and the bigger loop will actually sit down and it will slide down the limb easily. You'll want to seat the bottom loop on the bottom limb just like there. So the bottom limb is always seated fully and the top limb slides down. We'll go ahead and grab your bow stringer there. You'll see there is a pouch. So we'll use the pouch here and hold the pouch just in place like that. And this will sit on the inside, just like this. We don't want it to loop around. Let's make sure it's not looped around. Go ahead and sit that in there. Now what you'll want to do is step down on the stringer, and you want to hold this in place. As you hold this in place, the tension will hold it in place. Now you want to take your thumb and your pointer, keep them on the edge, and you will slide the loop up until it clips up into there. So let's go ahead, again, hold the stringer in place, step down on the string, and apply pressure. You will see that you'll want to push this as far that way as you can so you don't stress this part of the limb. Once that's in there, go ahead and tighten that in place, just like that. And that will hold the bow just in place, like that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some shooting techniques.
We will start out our lesson, but first we'll put on our guard for our shelf and our scratch plate. You'll see this is synthetic fur. It protects the bow from being scratched, but also provides a smooth surface upon which the arrow can travel. You see the scratch plate on the back there will prevent the bow from being scratched. Those parts will be replaced over time as they wear out. This is our nocking point. It will ensure that the arrow is seated on the string at the exact same place every single time. Here we have our arm guard. Now it may be clumsy to set that on your arm and attach the buckles, so I recommend attaching all the buckles first and then sliding your arm into the arm guard. That makes it easier. This item will protect the string from hitting your arm. If you don't have an arm guard, you are likely to hit yourself with the string and give yourself some welts. This is the glove. This is extremely important. It protects your fingers from the string. Otherwise, as you release the string, it will rip your fingerprints off. So these develop over time. They develop a groove and they allow you to seat the string in your fingers the exact same place every single time. Here we have a quiver. This is a modern style with a little hook that can sit onto your pants or your pocket, and it holds your arrows in place. You have 3 sections here, so you can separate if you have special trick arrows or elemental arrows. Here you will see the odd feather. We will have the odd feather facing outward, as you can see here. We will be shooting a style today, the Mediterranean style, with 2 fingers under, 1 string over. You see I've seated the arrow above the nocking point. That's how I shoot. Some people knock their arrow under. It just depends on how they prefer to shoot. There are a number of different shooting styles for archery, but what matters is that your fundamentals are correct. Despite what style of shooting, you just need to make sure you have the right fundamentals and you can shoot however you want. What is important with archery is your shot process. You want to make sure that whatever you are doing is the exact same thing every single time. I shoot the instinctive way that was taught to me by my father figure, and from him, from the friends of Howard Hill, who learned from Native Americans in the Americas. So, swing, draw, and release. 3 easy steps. I can go more over this process in another conversation at another time, but you see I swing the bow, draw it, and release it. I don't take the time to aim after I have drawn the bow, as I have aimed at the target before I've even drawn the bow. I look at the target and I'm already certain of what I'm looking at, and I just bring the bow up. Again, I follow my shot process. I swing the bow up, I draw. The swinging and drawing, you can see, can be one fluid motion altogether. As I swing the bow up, I draw. As I release the arrow, I make sure I don't squeeze the bow. I just want to support the bow. I hold the bow in place. This is called follow through. You just want to make sure that you don't jerk the bow and it ends up throwing your arrow off upon release. So I just support the bow as it hits the target. You want to make sure that your anchor point is the exact same every single time. I bring my middle finger to my bottom right canine, and as soon as you touch your anchor point, you should be sure that every step that you have taken up to this point is the exact same every single time. Again, that is your shot process. So I swing the bow up, I draw, and that is it.
Well, kid, I hope you enjoyed your first archery lesson, and there are your tips for sorting out your equipment. Sorry about your favorite fantasy thing getting ruined, but since you can't do fantasy archery, here's a real one. Enjoy. Take care and be safe out there. Now remember, never dry fire the bow. That means don't pull the string back and release it without an arrow. That will release undue stress on the limbs, so only fire this if you have an arrow seated on the string. Remember, don't dry fire. Take care of yourself, kid. I'll see you around.